This video is sponsored by Crucible. Crucible is a 2v2 co-op PvP action game that features a matchmaking system where players can participate in various PvP missions and take on epic boss encounters. The game also features a unique combat system that allows players to switch their roles and abilities mid-fight for a refreshing feel. So whether you're looking to play alone to discover the world and its story, or group with a friend to take on other players, Crucible offers something for everyone. Check the link in the description for more information on the beta schedule. What's up, you guys? Stoops back again with another video, and today I'm excited because finally we have been blessed with some new content. It's been a while since we've gotten anything in World of Warcraft, and this patch does contain quite a bit. This video will be aimed towards more so PvP. I will touch on a lot of things that I do think are kind of cool that are coming out in this patch, maybe some PvE content. There's a new raid, things like that I might mention, but more so this video will be geared towards PvP. There's a lot of PvE content out there on YouTube, and my job or my focus is to kind of aim this towards or create content for World of Warcraft PvP. But for those of you that are impatient or are just coming back to the game and want to see the notes yourself, the link will be in the description box below. Also, I'll give you some quick cliff notes for the video. This patch finally features the long-awaited Kultiran humans and the Zandalari troll allied races. We also have the new raid coming out, Crucible of the Storms. On top of that, we have several class changes coming out in this patch. The key focus here with these class changes, we're going to see a change into how healers conserve or use their mana regarding their utility spells. This is a positive thing in my opinion. We also see a reduction in Warlock durability. This is also, I think, a positive thing as Warlocks were very tanky. We have new Battlegrounds coming out, or the return of Wintergrasp. We also have Battleground visual revamps on several of your favorite Battlegrounds. We'll talk about that a bit later. And we also have Warlords of Draenor time walking. Now those are some of the key points in these patch notes. There's a lot of other things that are going into this patch in terms of, once again, character revamps or character class changes, achievements, items, the way you can use islands now to level and gear. I'm going to try and cover the main things that I think stand out, but once again, check out the link in the description box below if you are interested in reading through the patch notes yourself. For the release of this patch, we had the long-awaited Kultiran humans and the Zandalari trolls. In terms of racials for PvP, I would say the Kultiran humans edge out the Zandalari trolls. Now, the Zandalari trolls have a very powerful racial in terms of, or phrased as, regenerating. It was nerfed recently. It basically full heals you over a short period of time, but it breaks the damage, and I believe it's a 2-minute cooldown. I'll post the racial somewhere here on the screen. But the Kultiran humans have a racial that stuns the target for 3 seconds, I believe, on a 2.5-minute cooldown. And on top of that, they have a nice passive where they gain versatility and they heal back for an amount of damage they take over a short period of time. So I think Kultiran humans edge out these Zandalari trolls. This might be to try and bring over some of the Horde PvPers over to Alliance perhaps, or just maybe to kind of balance things out a bit in terms of the ratio for Horde versus Alliance. Now, they have brought back the Brawlers Guild for 8.1.5. I was never a big fan of the Brawlers Guild, but I know some people enjoy that type of content. They have tons of rewards that you can earn through the Brawlers Guild, so that might be something that you can look forward to doing. On top of that, we have Wintergrasp making a return as an epic battleground. It'll start out as a brawl in 8.1.5, but after that, it will go into the epic battleground category. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of epic battlegrounds, but I know some people are looking forward to that. One of the things that people are very excited about, obviously, is the new raid, the Crucible of the Storms. We've been, going through Battle for Draenor lore for a little bit of time now. Having a new raid with a couple bosses is a little refreshing. On top of that, we have Warlords of Draenor time walking. This is something that I might explore. They have a lot of cool mounts that you can get through time walking now after acquiring those badges or those tokens. I'll show you some of the mounts here on the screen. I really like the wolf mount, and that might be something that I go after, but it is a lot of work and time investment, but it's never bad having more content. So that is a plus. Now, one of the things I actually am excited for, despite not doing a lot of Battlegrounds personally, is the Battleground updates. They went ahead and updated Arathi Basin and Warsong Gulch and have been given a full makeover. I'll show some of the footage here on the screen. Warsong Gulch and Arathi Basin are probably one of my favorite battlegrounds of all time. Warsong Gulch specifically, but they are a little outdated in terms of just their aesthetics and the graphics that they have now. When originally they were created years ago, they have been updated over time, but this is just a massive rehaul, and I do like how they look. So, you know, kudos to Blizzard for finally taking the steps to do that. There's a lot of other information here that you can look through yourself, new pet battles and portal rooms. There are some controversy about the portal rooms, but that's not really my expertise. I'm not going to cover that. New holiday events, updates, that is great. Now, I want to go down and break down some of the class changes, as I think this is where for PvPers, a lot of these, you know, a lot of the excitement may lie or a lot of the disappointment may lie, depending on how you look at it. So looking at some of these changes here, I want to go through them kind of quickly because there is a lot of them. One of the key themes here that I talked about in the cliff notes is that there is a reduction of spells in terms of how much mana they cost, right? The reduction of mana cost through various spells, specifically healers, because we recently had a change where healers were nerfed pretty much across the board, at least 50% mana regeneration. I covered this in a previous video. You should go check that out if you're not familiar and you're coming back to the game. A lot of people were really upset about this change. I personally wasn't. I thought that it was a good change. Healers were too strong, but people were complaining that, well, if you nerf mana regeneration, then you can't use utility spells like Cyclone, Entangling Roots, and things like that. Well, they went ahead, like I kind of assumed they would, and corrected a lot of these things. So Entangling Roots, for example, for Resto Druids cost 66% less mana. It was, you know, it was costing around 3,600 mana, and at 100k mana, you can't use too much of your utility if you're spending mana on things like Entangling Roots. Hibernate has also been reduced, and this is a common theme for a lot of the other spells. Now, Disc Priest in particular kind of got shafted here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I do feel a little bit bad about that, and Blizzard should go back and try and correct that. There are also some unique, just cool hunter changes here. We have some changes to concussive shots with visual effects. We also have binding shot being buffed a little bit, increasing the duration and how long they are rooted for. BM is getting a nice solid buff here. So if you are a BM player, that is quite interesting, increasing damage of barb shot, and then also ignoring the target's armor when using barb shot, and then cobra shot damage has been increased. I don't think these are changes are game breaking. I don't think BM is going to be super overpowered. Who knows? But these are some of the lowest simming damage abilities for BM hunters. BM hunters damage is all over the place. A lot of it's auto shot, pet attacks, kill command, things like that. But buffing these lower end damage dealing abilities, I think, is a positive change. I have some cool changes here to Paladins. Avenging Wrath now causes your next Holy Shock, Light of the Protector for Protection Paladin, or Templar's Verdict, or Divine Storm, so that's for Ret, to critically strike. So this is going to increase Ret damage burst, which they already have very crazy burst, but you know, I think this is a cool change. If you are a Paladin, you can kind of line up your burst a little bit easier and a little bit better, but they already do kind of crazy damage, so I'm kind of wondering where that came from. And then Blessing of Freedom, Binding Light, Repentance mana cost has been reduced. Now, Paladins are very mana efficient, so I'm not 100% sure about this change, but I do think, you know, overall, it makes sense in when lining up with the other healer changes. Dispel Magic for priests has been also reduced. Mind Control mana cost has been increased a ton, so we're not going to see as much Mind Control. Not sure if I agree with that. Psychic Scream, on the other hand, has been reduced by 60%. Shackle and Dead has been reduced by 70%. So utility-wise, Dispelling, and Psychic Scream and Shackle, the mana cost has been reduced significantly, but Mind Control has been increased significantly, so that's a little weird there. Holy also seemed to get a small nerf there. I'm wondering if this has to do with PvE. I'm not exactly sure where these changes are coming from, but you can see them there. We are seeing some changes to Adrenaline Rush, which is going to be a nice little buff for Outlaw, increasing the maximum energy by 50 for its duration. And then Shaman Purge, similar with the other healer changes, and even actually Enhancement now and Elemental Shamans, the mana cost has been reduced by half, 50%. Earth Grab Totem has been reduced by 75%. We also see a nice buff to Restoration Shamans. Ascendants now additionally cause an instantaneous heal divided among all nearby allies. So when you pop your Ascendants as a Restoration Shaman, you're gonna get a quick direct heal to your team. I'm wondering how much that's gonna heal for. Overall, I think that we're seeing some just across the board mana reduction to a lot of the healer utility spells, which I think is a good thing, which means that now in order to survive or prolong your mana, you're going to have to try and use some type of CC to try and mitigate damage rather than just spamming out heals and looking for drinks. I think this is a positive change all around. Now, they do have a lot of changes to the existing dungeons and how they work, so that might be something that's interesting for you. Also, island expeditions that will now offer gear. So when you're leveling through island expeditions, if that's something you're interested in doing, if you want to go from 110 to 120 using island expos, you can also acquire gear for item level. So I think that's great. Now they're kind of encouraging players, hey, if you want to level through doing this, you can get your Azeroth power and you can get gear through this. So I think that's a nice change, and Blizzard is kind of catering to some of the player concerns or needs or desires. I like that a lot. Now, staying on the class changes here, we have some interesting things where we see Premonition now costs 500 mana for Discipline Priests. This is a big notable change instead of 0 mana. I'm not really sure why you go from 0 mana to 500 mana when you're buffing all of the other healers in terms of their mana, preservation. But then Disc Priest already goes pretty quick depending on the comp they're fighting. Seems like a weird change to me. We also see changes to Holy Priest in terms of how much mana they're spending. So I'm not sure if Blizzard just doesn't like Priest, but that is a little weird. We have changes to Cyclone, mana cost reduced by 33%, but then Thorns being increased by 50%. So they want to see you go for more clones maybe now, or Entangling Roots, and not so much relying on Thorns. I like that change. There are some other changes to some of the Battlegrounds and other PvP aspects and features, but I want to actually focus in on this Warlock change. This is a big notable change. Demon armor for Warlocks now increases your armor by 150% rather than 75%. That's almost halved. And that is due to Warlocks being very strong into double melee comps. Now, Warlocks versus, caster comps, they have a lot of sustain healing through their Soul Leech, I believe it is. They heal for quite a bit, and they're very tanky, having things like Reflect in their wall, Hellstone, and they just have a lot of ways to survive. But versus melee comps, Demon Armor made them so tanky, they were so difficult to kill, and they deal so much damage. They're saying that they realized that they wanted to buff Warlocks from the beginning of Season 1. They were very weak and they died too quick. Then they got a big buff and they were too strong. Now they're toning it back a little bit, and they're saying that this is going to make it like the Warlock is going from plate armor to mail armor. I'm wondering how squishy this is going to make Warlocks versus melee comps, but I think overall this is a good change. They're not messing with their leech and their ability to regen and heal, because that healing, if you guys are not familiar or you're not looking into it using details or an add-on when engaged in PvP combat, that healing is ridiculous. I mean, I've seen Warlocks heal for more than healers depending on the length of the game. So I think this will kind of balance things out. I'm happy about this, but we'll see how it does play out overall. Warlocks were just a little bit too strong, you guys. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm playing with a lot of Warlocks, and they're like, it's so easy to heal them. This is probably a good change. Now, going on to some of the Battleground changes and feature changes, you can now earn multiple Vicious Saddles tokens through doing Arena and buying multiple mounts in one season. So there's something to grind for after you get your first Vicious Saddle. I like that. The PvP vendor will also now sell glider kits, so you no longer have to go to the auction house and buy glider kits for World PvP or Battlegrounds. I like that. One of the key features is rated Battlegrounds can no longer have more than 3 healers on a team, and a lot of high rated Battleground players were having multiple healers, like 4 healers sometimes, and it was just awful, too dampener, and I like this change. So Blizzard's making a lot of great changes here, and there's a lot of updates to some of the maps in terms of Eye of the Storm will now feature capture points and the actual name of the capture points on the map rather than having to just know off the top of your head. I like that. And there's new features to a lot of the Battlegrounds in terms of, Alterac Valley having different features, Temple of Katmagu having now heal up power buffs. There's lots of cool little buffs going on inside of these BGs and a little bit of revamp, so I'm excited about that. Now, the rest of these changes are simply just bug fixes. Again, the link to all this will be in the description box below so you can read through it yourself. I'm happy with a lot of these changes. A lot of the class changes I agreed with, a lot of the visual updates I wanted to see, a lot of some of the changes in terms of the Battlegrounds I'm happy about seeing. A lot of things I didn't even think about Blizzard is thinking about and changing. I am very, very happy to see some of the changes in terms of the class and healer, their ability to spend mana and how they could use their mana. Now we can use more utility spells. I'm main healer. I'm happy to see that. But that will do it for this update video, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any more questions on my thoughts or these changes, you can let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Big shout out to all my Patreon supporters who've been supporting me this whole time on Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible. And if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, the link is in the info box below. And for supporting me on Patreon, you can also earn yourself some free PvP coaching. Try not to miss me on my Twitch live stream where I answer all of your guys' questions in depth. Do not forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.